Hola, here's our add-on. Perdón, perdón, please excuse me. I forgot to hit the record button again after we came out of breakout. So if you're watching this after our general class, I'm adding this as an add-on. You will not see the other students on the screen. We did our long practice with the 20 questions, 20 preguntas, that used mostly adjectives that precede, that means come in front of nouns. So with the rest of class, which was remaining, which was, I didn't want to record the dead space of breakout rooms, and I was popping in and out of various breakout rooms to handle people's questions. This is going to be like the last about 15 minutes. And I'm just pointing out mainly sections of the book that you may want to look at, letting you know what homework will be about, because the homework will be follow-up practice, additional practice. As some folks mentioned when they came back from breakout room practice, this is not so much hard as it is a matter of getting used to those kinds of adjectives that precede nouns, getting used to the cadence, getting used to situations where we will use it, hearing examples of that over and over again, which is why we have the 20 preguntas. But I do want to point out some other things about these different kinds of adjectives, because there are little snippets here and there that may cause a tiny bit of confusion. So I want to clear that up. And some of it does come from these segments of the book, starting on 108. So the first thing I want to point out, and you are going to want to go back and check in the book on this, those first two super common adjectives, good and bad. Everybody in every language has to learn how to use good and bad. So, bueno, malo. Those first two adjectives, when we use bueno or when we use malo in front of a noun, okay, which is actually a very common thing to do. Bueno and malo are kind of generic. How descriptive really is good or bad? Does it really paint a picture in your head that is super concrete? Not so much. Good and bad are extremely common in every language, but they're also pretty vague. So quite often these words bueno and malo are used before the nouns. But one thing you need to kind of note is that if I use bueno masculine singular or malo masculine singular in front of a masculine singular noun, we're going to truncate, that is cut off, shorten that word. Like you did in our previous lessons with alguno shortened to algún or ninguno shortened to algún. These are two of the adjectives that do the same thing. They become shortened words. So bueno, if it's masculine singular, becomes buen. Malo, if it's masculine singular, becomes mal. Es mal día, a bad day, not malo día, right? Mala idea, bad idea, mala becomes a full word, right? Malos chicos, bad boys, full word, but mal día, okay? Buen operates the same way. Truncated short buen, get rid of the o, buen. Es un buen día, it's a good day, es un buen día, okay? Buenos días, right? Buenas cosas, but buen día. Buen is a short word. Mal is a short word when they precede the noun, okay? The other thing I want to point out, en la página 109, there's this long list of words these words that express quantity or amounts, they may be very general as a specific number. They may be very vague, like just words that mean few, many, each. I want to point out on 109, there are a couple of words that sometimes give English speakers a hard time, but they're easy to explain. The word cada es la tercera palabra. It's the third word from the top, cada. Cada, each or every. Cada ends in an a, so you would think, oh, it's a feminine form. No, it's just cada. Cada does not change form. You know, mucho, much, changes form. Mucho, mucha, muchos, muchas. Cada does not do that. So cada always remains cada, no matter how you use it, no matter what kind of noun you use it with. Cada día, every day. Cada hombre, every man. Cada mujer, every woman. Cada is always cada. So don't try to change it to an O at the end or an S at the end. It's always cada. Each or every. Okay. The other word on 109, 109, en la página 109. La penúltima palabra, the penultimate, the second to last, otro. One thing I want to point out about otro, otro can mean other or another, and many times we English speakers, this is the big stamp in your head, gringo form. We want to do this because we do it in English, another. Nobody ever says un otro or una otra. If you want to say another, it's just the word by itself, otro, or just the word by itself, otra. Otro, otra, otros, otras. Another never uses a separate another. We don't do that. It's just the word otro by itself. Okay? ¿Está bien? ¿Vale? That is just a thing that we mentally want to do into, you know, changing it into English, translating. And so don't do that. Think of it as the word otro by itself. Next thing I want to point out, in la página 110, they're going to give you these three words, right? Okay, the words próximo. I'm very bad at reading upside down and backwards. Único and último. These three, próximo, único, último, next, only, and last, tell you the order of something. And that's why they precede the noun. They're kind of, this is sort of related to the idea of quantities or amounts precede the noun. 8 días, muchos años, poca gente. These ideas of next or only or last they don't paint a picture like azul, blue, or like negro, black, or blanco, you know, they don't, gris, gray. They don't paint a picture in your head, okay? They kind of tell you the order. So they're kind of related to that idea of amount. You know, those will come in front of, although único can come in a couple of positions. I'll talk about that in the last part of the video. The very last part of the textbook talks about adjectives whose meaning depend on position, okay? And they go through many words, but I would say about half of these are super important, and the other half you are only going to see conversationally in a limited basis. So the limited basis are words like antiguo, cierto, maybe, but the words grande, pobre, mismo, viejo. Those are very, very common when people are just shooting the breeze with each other, right? Grande, like bueno, like malo, is truncated, that is cut off, shortened, gets the trash compactor treatment. If grande is before a noun, it becomes shortened. Okay? Grande is shortened to gran, G-R-A-N, gran. But when we use gran in front of a noun, it no longer means big. It means great, important, significant, great. Gran. Es un gran hombre. Es un gran autor. He's a great author. Es gran actor. Es gran actriz. Gran, unlike mal, which is masculine singular, buen, which is masculine singular but shortened. Gran is the same for feminine and masculine. It's always gran. Una gran mujer, un gran hombre. Un gran autor, a great author. Una gran actriz, a great actress. So gran will be the same for feminine, masculine. It'll be shortened, gran, right? Grande after the noun means big in size. Could be a nicer way of referring to kind of portly, but usually big in size, gran, okay? But gran, great, grande, big, okay? Pobre. Pobre, and he explains this really, really well in the video. Pobre, when it's used before a noun, is like, oh, you're lamenting. You're saying that unfortunate, poor, unfortunate soul. Poor as in, I feel sorry for you. Ay, pobre chico, poor boy. Se cayó, he fell down. Ah, pobre chico. It does not mean he has no money, right? But un chico pobre is a kid who literally has no money. He is poverty stricken, okay? Strictly in the monetary sense, right? And the last two words they give you on page 111 en la página 111. Mismo, same, but when mismo follows a noun, it means himself or herself. It is very common to hear people say, ah, yo mismo, I myself. Yo mismo, I myself. Not same I. Tenemos el mismo lápiz. We have the same kind of pencil, right? But if somebody says, yo mismo trabajo allí, I myself work there. Okay, so you may hear people say that. And viejo. Pobre viejo, you always hear a lot in front of nouns, right? Viejo, before the noun, means a long time, a long standing, and I've had this friend forever. Es mi viejo amigo, es mi vieja amiga. She's my old friend, he's my old friend. We have known each other forever. That kind of friend. But un amigo viejo, he's my friend who is an old person, an elderly person. Okay? Amigo viejo, a person who happens to be elderly, up there in years. But mi viejo amigo, my old friend, and people use viejo amigo all the time for friends they've had since childhood or teenage years, you know, really long time. Vale, bien. So I wanted to just point that out. The very last thing I want to point out, they gave you an enormous list, una lista enorme. This is a huge list of nationalities en las páginas 106, 107, 106, 107. Do not feel you have to memorize all these nationalities. You should memorize the ones that are important for you because of where you travel, because of family or friends that you have, because of business relationships you may have, or you may be conducting. So get to know the ones that are important for you, but I do want to point out a couple of things about nationalities. Nationality adjectives follow some different rules. They do not follow different rules if they're nationalities that end in O. So nationalities that end in O follow the same rules as all the plain old adjectives that end in O, like rojo, amarillo, moreno, rubio. Oh, okay. Any nationality that ends in O will follow the usual O ending adjective rules. So Mexicano needs to have feminine and plural forms. Mexicano, mexicana, mexicanos, mexicanas, right? Chileno, chilena, chilenos, chilenas. Italiano, italiana, italianos, italianas. All of those nationalities that end in O, they do what you think they should do. Same as rojo, same as amarillo, same as alto, same as bajo, okay? They change forms of masculine, feminine, singular, plural. Not all nationalities end in O. And sadly, some that are extremely common están en las páginas 105, 106, 105, 106. A lot of very common nationalities that are important to us when we speak, when you want to say things like, you know, we are, she is French, he is English, it's I want an English newspaper, something like that. A lot of these nationalities end in a consonant. That means not A-E-I-O-U. They end in a consonant like N, like S. So the first one, muy obvio, español, ends in an L, an L. Español, because it's a nationality that ends in a consonant, it needs to go into feminine forms. Why is this important? There are a lot of adjectives, non-nationality adjectives, that don't end in O. And you learned a long time ago that plain old vanilla flavor adjectives that don't end in O, like fácil, easy, right? Like elegante, elegant. Those are like fácil, elegante, feliz, happy. Those adjectives that end in a consonant or, you know, not in O, they're the same for feminine, the same for masculine, right? Feliz Navidad. Feliz es un hombre feliz. Es una mujer feliz. Feliz stays the same, masculine, feminine. You just make it plural if you need to, right? Difícil. Es un examen difícil. Es una novela difícil, right? They stay the same, masculine and feminine, because the word difícil doesn't end in O. The word, you know, elegante doesn't end in O, because, you know, feliz doesn't end in O. Okay, that's for plain old vanilla flavor adjectives. For nationality adjectives, and this is a very small category, nationality adjectives, if they end in a consonant like español, they need to have a feminine form. I can't use español equally like difícil ending in L. Difícil is the same for masculine and feminine, but español, because it's a nationality, no, no, no. A nationality that ends in a consonant, it will need to go into a feminine form. So español becomes española. Español for masculine plural is españoles. We add an E to ES. Españolas is the feminine plural. Francés, French, ends in an S, a consonant, same thing. Because it's a nationality, I can't use francés equally for feminine and masculine. I need to have a specific feminine form if it's talking about a woman. So francés tags on an A, francesa. Francés, to become masculine plural, is franceses. Es at the end. Like españoles is es at the end. Francés, francesa, franceses, es at the end, but francesas, plural, right? Another common one, inglés. Hablamos inglés. We speak English. Inglés ends in an S, ese. Nationality ends in a consonant. I need to make it a feminine form, inglesa, to talk about a woman. I add an es to make it masculine plural, ingleses. I take the feminine form, tag out an s to make it feminine plural, inglesas. So, inglés, inglesa, ingleses, inglesas. Yay? The other really super common one is alemán, German, alemán. Alemán ends in an N, but it's a nationality that ends in N, a consonant. So I do need a feminine form to talk about a woman or a feminine thing. Alemana. Alemán, alemana, alemanes, es for masculine plural, alemanas for feminine plural, right? Japonés, Japanese is the same thing. Holandés, Dutch does the same thing, okay? One other nationality I want to point out, because a lot of my students, well, I'm not going to say a lot of my, I have students who come from Canada, okay? The word for Canadian is canadiense. Canadiense. It ends in an E. Ends in an E, doesn't end in O. Ends in an E. It's not an L as de español. It's not a N of alemán. Canadiense will be the same for feminine. Canadiense. We just make it plural. Canadienses. So canadiense, it ends in a vowel, but it's not O. It ends in an E. It will share the forms for masculine, feminine. It will just add on an S to make it plural. And they show you those few adjectives that do that in your book. En la página 106 on page 106. Don't feel you have to memorize all of those, but because this is one of our neighbors to the border to the north, a lot of us who live here in Arizona have neighbors who are Canadienses, Canadian. So it's important because we share a border because we're neighboring countries. And the rest of those nationality adjectives, just get familiar with the ones that would be important to you personally or for business reasons or, lo que sea. Many are cognates. Of course, not all. Todos no. Para tarea, for homework, I do want you to head on back to the book, en el libro. El ejercicio el ejercicio 8.1 en la página 103, page 103. That will talk just about possessives. My, your, his, her, our. They come in front of the noun, just like we do in English. My house, our kids, his car, lo que sea, whatever it may be. I do want you to try ejercicios 8.2, 8.2, en la página 105, 105. That uses the demonstratives. The demonstratives always come in front of always come in front of the noun they talk about. And demonstratives demonstrate where something is located relative to the speaker. That's all they do. Demonstratives they only mean this. They mean this, or plural, these. They mean that, or those, plural. That's all that demonstratives mean. The trickier thing is that, number one, in Spanish, this or these means something is close to the person speaking. That or those means closer to the person I'm talking to, a little ways away from the person speaking, right? That indicates something a little more distant. Unlike in English, there is a separate category for the word that and those in Spanish. And it indicates distance a long way away. And the way you would translate it is to say that over there or those over there. There's a separate category of words in Spanish and they indicate distance. So besides saying this, these, that, and those, you have that over there or those things over there. And those become a separate category of words. Aquel, aquella, aquellos, aquellas. That's all they are. They indicate long, far off distance. Over yonder, if you will, as we would say in English. Okay. Very last idea I'll leave you with is that when we say this, este, or that, ese, the masculine form does not end in an O like you think it should. The masculine form ends in an E. However, it becomes confusing because there do exist these two words. Esto is a word that you hear a lot. Eso is a word you hear a lot. Eso is not masculine. Esto is not masculine, even though they end in O. These are called neutral words. Okay, why do we need these? Well, we use esto to say this when you're talking about, when you use this to talk about an action. Like you're running. You say, oh, I don't like this. You're talking about the activity of running. And an action cannot be categorized or put into a category of masculine or feminine. So if you want to say running, I don't like this. Correr. Esto no me gusta. This, I don't like it. When we talk about an activity or a thing that you're referring to and you don't really know what gender it is, like, oh my gosh, you're on business in Madrid. Your mouse just died. And you know, you don't like the mouse on the pad, so you want to buy this thing, but you don't know what to call it. Shoot, I don't know how to say mouse in Spanish. Is it the same thing as the animal? What the heck is it? I don't know. But you see it in the store window. You see it in the you know, like it's in a little case, or it's, you know, locked down so people don't shoplift it. And you want to say to the guy, quiero esto. ¿Cuánto cuesta esto? ¿Cuánto cuesta eso? ¿Cuánto cuesta eso? How much does this cost? Because you don't really know if it's masculine or feminine. You're just referring to this general thing. So when you hear esto, it means this, talking about an action or an idea, an abstract thing, or something that you don't know the gender of it, right? Eso, that, again, a general thing, an activity maybe, that we can't categorize, a thing that you don't know what gender it is, just so that you know. It is all in those pages. So you're going to do those two little exercises, one about possessives, one about demonstratives, showing relative to the speaker where, in a very general sense, something is, if it's close, if it's further off, if it's way the heck far away. And I am going to give you a link to a long page that gives all of this information about adjectives. And at the very bottom, you're going to see a link and it'll say start the quiz here. You're going to oprima el botón, press that button. You're going to press the start quiz button way at the bottom of that long website. And it will give you a self-correcting quiz on, does an adjective come before the noun or does it come after the noun? Okay, there'll be a little drop-down menu. 40 preguntas, 40 questions. I believe it's 40 long, so it's a lot. Some will be super easy and you'll be like, Entiendo perfectamente. I understand perfectly. Some are going to be a little bit tough. So do read through all of it. Do finish the last 7 minutes of the video. You'll have that all in the email that I send out. And kind of do that practice work con muchos ejemplos, with many examples for adjectives. And it'll start to come really naturally for you, okay? Eso es todo. Entonces, hasta luego, hasta la semana que viene, la próxima semana. Nos vemos.